Alpha Centauri is the closest star system to our solar system, and one of its members is the nearest star to Earth. If you exclude the Sun, that is. Its component stars, known as Alpha Centauri A and B and Proxima Centauri, lie between 4.2 and 4.4 light-years away. Of the three, Proxima Centauri is the closest. Although it's a triple star system, all of its members don't necessarily orbit one another. Instead, Alpha Centauri A and B make up a binary pair, and Proxima Centauri orbits around them. In Earth's night sky, the star system is the third brightest star, topped only by Sirius and Canopus. Alpha Centauri is the brightest star in the constellation of Centaurus, and it's a southern constellation, which means if you're too far north, you can't see it. It represents the foot of the Centaur. As the closest star system to Earth, Alpha Centauri has been studied and observed pretty extensively. Let's continue on and take a closer look at the Sun's closest stellar neighbor. Alpha Centauri's name is its Bayer designation, which refers to a particular way of naming stars. Centauri, of course, refers to the constellation that it's a part of, and Alpha means it's the brightest star in that constellation, but the individual components of the system have their own names too. In 2016, the IAU designated Alpha Centauri A as Rigel Kentaurus, which means the foot of the Centaur. Alpha Centauri B is known as Ptolemy, which means the vine shoot. This refers to an ancient tradition where the centaur held a rod entwined with vines in his hand. And finally, Proxima Centauri means the closest one of the centaur. This refers to how it's not just the closest star to Earth in the entire Alpha Centauri system, but the closest star to the Sun in general. The Alpha Centauri system seems to have formed about 1,000 million, or around 1 billion years before the solar system. Proxima Centauri might be a latecomer to the system. A and B might have pulled it into orbit around them as it wandered by. As one of the brightest stars seen from Earth, Alpha Centauri has been observed for a very long time. It's listed in the Almagest, a star catalog written by Ptolemy around 150 AD. But although it was well documented, it wasn't until the 17th century that astronomers started to notice it wasn't just one star. In December of 1689, French Jesuit priest Father Jean Rachad was observing a passing comet. During this observation, he happened to discover that Alpha Centauri contained two individual stars. These, of course, were Rigel Kentaurus and Ptolemy. This made them only the second binary star system to ever be discovered. It wouldn't be until much later that the third member of the system was found. In 1915, Proxima Centauri was finally spotted by Scottish astronomer Robert Thorburn Ayton Innes. Alpha Centauri A, or Rigel Kentaurus, is a G-class star that is only a little bit more massive than the Sun. It's the brightest component of the system, and it resembles the Sun in spectral type, diameter, and absolute magnitude. Currently, it's still in its main sequence phase. Alpha Centauri B, or Ptolemy, is a K-class star, slightly cooler than its companion and a little less massive than the Sun. It's more orange or reddish in color than Alpha Centauri A. These two stars make up a binary system. They're about 23 astronomical units away from each other, and they both complete an orbit in around 80 years. Proxima Centauri, which is much less commonly known as Alpha Centauri C, is significantly smaller and dimmer than the other two. It's a red dwarf star with about 1/8 of the Sun's mass. However, it's over 30 times as dense as the Sun because it's also very, very small. Although it's the closest star to Earth, Proxima Centauri actually can't be seen with the naked eye. It's too dim and easily outshined by the other two stars that it orbits. It's known as a flare star, which means it's prone to sudden bursts of brightness due to magnetic activity. These phenomena can be seen from Earth, and some have been pretty powerful. Proxima Centauri is a staggering 13,000 astronomical units away from the binary system of A and B. It orbits the other two with a very, very long period of around 550,000 years. Being very close to Earth, Alpha Centauri has been the subject of extensive searches for exoplanets. Multiple candidates have been found, but the only member of the system with any confirmed planets is Proxima Centauri. The red dwarf's planets are known as Proxima Centauri B, C, and D. Proxima Centauri B and D have both been pretty confidently confirmed, but there's more uncertainty around C, and it's considered a candidate rather than a confirmed exoplanet. There was a potential planet around Ptolemy, which was known as Alpha Centauri BB, that was spotted in 2012. However, its existence was disproven a few years later. Pretty recently, astronomers have found some of the strongest evidence to date of an exoplanet around Rigel Kentaurus. They used the James Webb Space Telescope to conduct observations in the search for this planet. It would likely be a gas giant, and if it's confirmed, it will be the nearest exoplanet to Earth that orbits a star similar to the Sun. Alpha Centauri might currently be the closest star system to Earth, but things in space are constantly on the move, and this system is no exception. In about 30,000 years, it'll be at its closest point to the solar system, and just a few thousand years later, it'll start to move away. When it's no longer the closest star to us, another one will take its place. I hope you enjoyed this overview of the Sun's closest stellar neighbor, and I also hope you learned something. For the first proper entry in my series on stars, I figured it would only make sense to focus on the stars closest to the Sun. As always, I would appreciate it if you could like the video, and you can, of course, subscribe if you'd ever like to see more. Suggestions on other interesting stars to talk about are also appreciated. Thank you very much for watching, have a good day, and I hope to see you next time.